Weapons of mass destruction program is not shut down. It is up and running now.
The Iraqi regime has plotted to develop anthrax and nerve gas and nuclear weapons for over a decade.
Curveball, the code name of American intelligence's best source. This shadowy figure was to transform the intelligence on WMD, an Iraqi refugee with first-hand evidence that Iraq was producing deadly biological weapons. We finally managed to track him down in a small German town. His real name was Rafid al-Janabi. This is the first television interview that the head of German intelligence has ever given about Curveball.
It was very difficult to get inside information at that time from Iraq. It was very important for us to have a human source who has been engaged in this program, and therefore it was a very valuable source.
Political asylum and money were on the horizon. He told his German interrogators with sketches that he'd been involved in developing mobile biological laboratories with fermenters mounted on trucks.
They gave me an opportunity to say what I wanted. A lot of the information which was given to German intelligence was extremely detailed, and they verified this information.
Towards the end of 2000, Curveball's story began to unravel when the Germans realized that Curveball had lied about some parts of his story. Satellite imagery confirmed these doubts. Photographs contradicted Curveball's description of the site where he'd worked near Baghdad. He said that large trucks with trailers had been driven in and out of the end warehouse, but satellite images showed it would have been impossible for an articulated truck to make that maneuver. What's more, there was a 6-foot wall in the way. After a year of interviews with Curveball, German intelligence decided to terminate their regular meetings with him. At the beginning of 2001, Curveball was out in the cold, flipping burgers at this fast food outlet near Nuremberg. In the spring of 2002, MI6 sent the CIA a cable summing up its position on Curveball.
Elements of his behavior strike us as typical of individuals we would normally assess as fabricators.
But nevertheless, it was
inclined to believe that a significant part of Curveball's reporting is true.
He was telling information that people wanted to hear.
Despite all the reservations, both MI6 and the CIA decided to stick with Curveball, and they soon had what they thought was corroboration.
An Iraqi major who defected confirmed that Iraq has mobile biological research laboratories.
This was the second spy who fooled the world, an Iraqi defector from Saddam's intelligence service who made his way to Jordan. His name was Major Mohammed Harith. He offered himself to an exile group known as the Iraqi National Congress, or INC.
Major Mohammed Harith was an Iraqi defector that the INC located in Jordan, Amman. He was quite desperate to get out of Jordan.
Nabil Moussawi was filmed by American television talking to Major Harith. Harith said it was his idea to develop mobile biological laboratories. He said he'd bought Renault trucks and revealed how many.
7.
But the Americans had doubts because his story was so elaborate and unbelievable. He even claimed he'd met Osama bin Laden.
Was his story true? It proven post-2003, no.
Fabricated?
Fabricated.
So why did he
there was no proof.
Why did he fabricate such a story?
I think he wanted to find a new home.
Saddam Hussein is determined to get his hands on a nuclear bomb.
Once again, the story starts with a tantalizing kernel of truth. this time in Rome. In 1999, a genuine secret letter came to light indicating that an Iraqi ambassador was planning to visit Niger, a country rich in uranium. But Rocco Martino gave Elisabetta Berber a set of documents, which she later gave to the American embassy.
Potentially they were the smoking gun that everybody in that time was looking for.
The sensational documents detailed how Iraq was planning to buy 500 tons of pure uranium from Niger and were signed and sealed by the president of Niger. The documents looked authentic, and they even included the original genuine letter. But on closer examination, they soon turned out to be a crude forgery.
It was disseminated to some intelligence services, including France, Germany, UK. Then it crossed the Atlantic, and in the end, only the US and the UK made that public, because probably their immune system was weaker.
The White House eagerly seized on the intelligence. Once again, it was exactly what they wanted to hear. The CIA had its reservations, but the Niger story just kept on turning up.
My agency tried repeatedly to bang down that whole issue over and over and over again, but it just, one of my colleagues referred to it as whack-a-mole. You'd hit it over the head and it would go away, and then it would pop back up again at another spot.
The exact role of Italian intelligence in this story is unclear, but they deny any involvement. The journalist who inadvertently fueled the circulation of the forgeries feels guilty.
Personally, I feel very bad because I have been used to justify a war which ended up with thousands or hundreds of thousands of deaths.
Sir Richard Dearlove, the head of MI6, briefed the Prime Minister on his visit to Washington in July. He's reported as saying,
military action was now seen as inevitable. The intelligence and facts were being fixed around the policy.
In our view, we thought that intelligence was used to justify a war which was a war of choice, of pure choice. But the intelligence was used to disguise that as a war of necessity.
General Sir Mike Jackson was Britain's senior soldier when troops were sent to fight a war allegedly justified by this intelligence.
What I do know is intelligence sources do not always tell the truth. What appeared to be gold in terms of intelligence turned out to be fool's gold, because it looked like gold, but it wasn't.
Finally, there was to be one last piece of intelligence that could have stopped the war. Incredibly, the source was Iraq's head of intelligence, Tahir Habbush al-Tikriti, the Jack of Diamonds on America's notorious deck of cards. 3 months before the war, an MI6 officer met Habbush in Jordan. We understand that Habbush told MI6 that Saddam had no active WMD, the same message as that conveyed by the Iraqi foreign minister only days before the British dossier was published. But it wasn't what London or Washington wanted to hear. It's possible that if MI6 and the CIA had been able to convince Blair and Bush of the validity of the intelligence they were getting from their two most highly placed sources, Iraq's foreign minister and Iraq's head of intelligence, then Britain and America might not have gone to war. But by this time, the die had probably been cast.
Every statement I make today is backed up by sources, solid sources. These are not assertions. What we're giving you are facts and conclusions based on solid intelligence.
Colin Powell said that he, that's you, the source, was present during the biological production runs. Were you present then?
He was also at the site when an accident occurred in 1998. 12 technicians died from exposure to biological agents.
Were you present on site?
No.
When an accident occurred?
No.
We have first-hand descriptions of biological weapons factories on wheels and on rails.
You say you provided diagrams
Yes.
of the mobile biological trucks.
Yes.
You were making that up.
Yes.
And also, you made a model, you constructed a model
Yes.
of these trucks. Yes. Again, you made that up.
Yes.
All of it was lies.
Yes.
His eyewitness account of these mobile production facilities has been corroborated by other sources. An Iraqi major who defected confirmed that Iraq has mobile biological research laboratories.
That was the second spy who fooled the world, Major Mohammed Harith.
7.
But, inexplicably, no one had told Colin Powell that Harith had been formally dismissed as a fabricator 9 months before.
It was curveball. That's it. The Iraq war was based on lies.
Gradually, the lies were revealed. 3 days after Colin Powell's presentation, UN inspectors, now finally back in Iraq, visited the site where Curveball said he'd seen the mobile biological laboratories. What did you find?
A lot of seed, a lot of corn, a lot of nothing.
We have first-hand descriptions of biological weapons factories on wheels and on rails.
The building was dusty, extremely dusty. And there were some old hulks of equipment that I didn't recognize, that I don't think any of them ever could be used for biological production.
And the 6-foot wall that blocked the entrance to the warehouse was still there.
I don't know when the last time a human was in that building, but I was the first in a long time. This was clearly not in use for a long time, and clearly not a biological weapons production facility. So at that point, I was very disappointed.
There were no WMD and no substance to the corroborating sources on which MI6 had relied. The two key pieces of last-minute intelligence that the MI6 chief had personally conveyed to Tony Blair were withdrawn. The new source on trial was deemed to be unreliable. Red River was given a lie detector test and failed. And what's more, the controversial 45-minute claim was withdrawn.
There was a consistent effort to find intelligence that supported preconceived positions. Very bad intelligence got to the leadership very quickly, but very other intelligence just didn't make it, just didn't get anywhere.
10 years on from the invasion of Iraq, we're still living with the legacy of the spies who fooled the world. The fact is that we went to war in Iraq on a lie, and that lie was your lie.
Yes.